87, 88. I was asked to be part of the women's committee, and it was fairly newly formed. Linda Wallace was my chair at the time, and I believe she was out of Local 3. And a very, very wonderful person. And I got the opportunity very, very early on. I was certainly extremely new. I really didn't know much about union politics, but I got the chance to go to Nupshi with them one year through the Women's Committee. And that was where the idea of the children's camp came to be. And that was one of the most wonderful experiences that I've ever had. Linda Wallace brought the idea back, brought it back to PE, Provincial Executive, and they let the idea fly as an experiment. What happened at the time is the locals sponsored the children to go to a union camp where the children learned about collective agreements and how to negotiate and so on and so forth. And I'll never forget the kids coming back from their little groups, and they actually negotiated an extra 15 minutes to sleep in. And it was a fabulous experience. And my role at the kids camp, because I had been a swimming instructor, of course, was to take care of the fun times. So that was good too. But Linda lost her fight with cancer 2 years later, and of course it was the same time as the downturn with AUP and all the hardships and not having any money, and the Alberta Federation of Labour took over the children's camp. And I'm not sure if they're still running it, but the camp at that time was lost, and it was a very, very valuable experience. But through it all, Linda Wallace persevered, because there were a lot of people that didn't really want the camp and didn't feel the need for a children's camp when all the locals in AUP were struggling. But she persevered, and she kept that camp running. And we went to that camp and used our own vacation time in order just to be there as volunteers. And that's how much we all felt about the camp and felt the good works that it was going to do. Then again, you know, her being a mentor of sorts, the Women's Committee was still in its fledgling stage, and at convention and everything, it just seemed that the Women's Committee, every time they turned around, were struggling. We're struggling to be accepted. We're struggling to get their voice. And quite frankly, it made me mad. And I really couldn't accept the fact that people didn't realize that, yes, there are, you know, it's a human problem, but it's also women's issues. More so than possibly men's issues, because it's the woman that is the caregiver. It's the woman that 97% of the time is battered. It's the woman that has no place to go. It's the women that don't have access to their bank accounts. And not only these issues, but many more issues that predominantly the Women's Committee needs to be there. They are of value, and they need to address these issues. And quite frankly, I'm back on the Women's Committee again, and we're working very hard, and I'm proud to be there.